Transforming education systems is not solely about policies or infrastructure. It is about people. It involves empowering communities, amplifying marginalized voices, and establishing mechanisms where social accountability facilitates meaningful change for people.
Mbaniriza. Makavipo. Bem-vindas. Tuabakira. Karibu. Ihola. Amaraba. Karibu sana. Welcome. Okay? Africa, this is very important point. The different the other continents. Africa's respect the diversity. Okay? The first diversity is language.
Civil society brings alternatives to the table. Civil society has connection and direct touch with the communities. We represent those communities where oftentimes government doesn't have that connection. Civil society has evidence that probably government might not have. Whereas government can reach the entire country, we have those unique experiences from a particular village that a government entity might not have because they aggregate their data. So the role of civil society in this case is critical, that we bring alternatives, we bring evidence from the communities, and as such, it is critical that government ought to listen to us.
So we came back to the drawing board. So okay, then as a team, let's work enough with the women groups that are in the county to enable us to use a tangible and more relevant or reliable result. And that's how we started working with the women group. And since then, there has been a lot of different engagements from them because they are the ground runners and they are the 4 weeks of whatever we do at the county level.
So learning from that, we thought that it would be important for us to bring the national parliament to the doorstep of the citizens.
The most favorite thing about this training is the facilitation mechanisms that have been applied. It has been very participatory. It has been done in a way that it makes you not be bored. It makes you to enjoy the learning.
Theorists, you are talking about research and all that, right?
Yes.
Before we do something.
Yes.
And you have already guessed it, that you are the pragmatists. Even you said it. The activist.
Yeah. So that is why I think that I align more to this. For every great idea, every great opportunity out there, it starts from me, and it starts with a little step towards the overall goal. And along the line, you can become conflict sensitive or context sensitive to know how to re-strategize and then move with everyone.
So the experience that we drew from this is we have to learn in all the process that we are doing to be in a position to know if this works or it doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, our alliance wants to promote effective implementation of the National Strategy for Inclusive Education.
What is some social accountability work that you or your organization has done in your community?
Back in 2014, our coalition was in position to mobilize citizens within the communities, to check how government is releasing money to the schools. And what we identified from that exercise was that government of Uganda was releasing money outside the school calendar. So regularly would bring that information back to the Ministry of Finance. And we did it for close to 2 financial years. And we saw government listen to that feedback, that the money they were releasing was coming in even after the schools have closed or before schools opened, and they changed the reforms and introduced a system where now money is released according to school calendar. And in this case, why it is important for us is that it's a direct example of how information from citizens can inform policy decisions at the national level.
It was way back in 2020. when we applied the social accountability monitoring to track the flow of capitation grants. And at that time, the government was not honoring that promise. But what we did was just to track and see if the money is going to school, because school was struggling with teaching learning facilities. So after doing social accountability monitoring, we came up with the findings that showed a number of gaps where particularly the delay of funds to school, and even some schools not getting funds. So we decided to use the findings to advocate for. And then we see today the government is channeling money straight into the school account as compared to the past that they were supposed to channel to the district authority, and then the district authority would channel it to the school. So recently there is no delay and money is going to school without any sort of leakages. And we can see the schools are using capitation grants to buy learning and teaching facilities in schools. So we can see in that way, I've witnessed actually a social accountability monitoring mechanism is a good way to improve service delivery.
A case in point that social accountability made a significant change in my line of work was when we engaged community members in one of the project communities in the Nanumba North area, building their capacity to be able to use community scorecard to generate evidence. Once they did use that process, they generated the evidence that had to do with the lack of dual desks for students to sit in their classrooms. Once they were able to do this, they engaged the local government actors with the findings. They also made sure that it went into the media. The media amplified their voice. Then in no time, the local assembly ensured that they revised their annual budget to increase the allocation to furniture or dual desk provision. The national government also responded immediately by supplying about 200 dual decks to the community. And then the assembly also provided 100 dual decks. And then the community now has enough, at least, dual decks to serve the children within their school.
What lessons have you learned from working with marginalized communities or groups?
Something that I want people to know about working with marginalized people is the fact that they too have a voice, and they have educational policy also impact the lives of them and their children. And so it is important that they have a say, because they can contribute to how policies are being implemented. They can influence their local groups, local leaders, to ensure that education advocacy is affecting the lives of their children.
Estamos a lidar com uma área que, na minha opinião, é fundamental. E carregamos sonhos de pessoas para que isso se torne uma realidade. E isso é um enorme desafio. Comparo esse trabalho desse senhor. Obrigado.
How do you involve marginalized groups and communities?
So one, you must first of all establish that you know your context. Do the right targeting, okay? Then do the right mobilization. Of course, mobilization goes with the targeting. Ensure that you are building good alliance with the citizens. Ensure that you are building good, you are getting trust and building a very good rapport with the community members. And then in that, you are able to drive or run with them in the process.
To engage marginalized communities effectively, it is critical that we create environments that engage them from their areas of comfort, but also allow them, listen to them keenly, and allow them to generate the solutions to the challenges that we have identified. The third step is not involving them in isolation, that all the refugees, all the women, all the youth, let's involve them so that we enhance participation and collaboration. That way, even us who are not marginalized can be in position to appreciate their needs, but also articulate their needs and challenges that they face and solutions.
And it is also good to note that at the community level, religious authority traditional authority, they are all involved in the citizen groups and they have representation. If there's a Queen Mother, the Queen Mother representative or the Queen Mother herself will be within that particular. So there is that chemistry of representation at that particular level.
For our alliance, we thought and then we decided it shouldn't be a confrontational way of approach. It has to be a collaborative. Because for our experience for quite some times, we have seen that the confrontational approach doesn't work.
And we are glad that with the funding from GPE and EOL, we've been able to make these marks, and we are beginning to see tangible results about the policy, but we also have challenges. There are challenges everywhere that we see, but we were not, what we are now, that's not where we were, yes, but we're making strides, but there's still a lot to do to ensure that the policy is implemented.
Alfreda.
Moscha.
Fidea.
Lino.
Awa.
Chico.
Pascal.
Equality.
Activism.
Inclusive future.
Equity.
Transform.
Ownership.
Stewardship.
Engagement.
Responsiveness.
Participation.
Improvement.
Empowerment. Voice.
Civic.
Transparency. Responsive.
Proxy.
Monitor.